Bolo, be on the lookout for Black Lives Matter Week in our public schools next week. So this is born out of, obviously, the BLM movement, but it is sort of a subsidiary of that. So out of the BLM movement, there's something specifically called the National Black Lives Matter at School Week. And what they say their stated mission is as follows. We lead with the heart and courageously work to address racial injustice in education, embodying Black joy, confronting anti-Blackness, and building authentic partnerships with all who support creating equitable school communities across the nation. And it says National Black Lives Matter at School, organizing for racial justice in schools. So there are some schools who are planning to have activities and educational, I'm going to use the phrase educational loosely, activities and educational opportunities around Black Lives Matter at school. So the BOLO part of it is you need to, if you're not sure if your kid's school is recognizing Black Lives Matter at School Week and you have some concerns about what they might be teaching, probably a good time to ask your school's principal. In Shoreline, in the Shoreline School District, they did put out a bulletin to families, which, look, if you're going to teach activism in school, I at least will give you a couple points for telling parents about it ahead of time and letting parents know what you're going to be doing. So again, it's from the Shoreline Public Schools. It says Black Lives Matter at School Background Information and Family Guide 2024. I'm not going to read that whole thing for you, but I will pull out a couple things that are of note. It says policies that affirm equity. Our school district has clear policies affirming equity and opposing any form of discrimination. And then it refers to a policy. It says, commits our district to provide respectful and relevant learning environments that leverage diversity and create schools where students feel welcomed and supported. It is in this spirit that the lessons are presented for teacher use. It says, ensuring academic freedom while teaching controversial subjects. Teaching about social justice in our current political climate is not always easy. I would argue you shouldn't be teaching about social justice at all, even if it is in the interest of historically underserved students. However, educators in the U.S. have the right to teach and discuss issues that are a part of civil life and society, including racism and equity. Okay, this is about the rights of teachers to push their political agenda on kids. Got it. Well, I'll get back to that in a second. I was going to say, it's not about, of course, everybody's opposed to racism. I mean, yeah, if there's been issues related to racism in our nation's history, nobody has a problem with teaching those things. But you're talking about a racism and equity agenda built by a political organization that you're utilizing in schools. It says both district policy and the board resolution clarify that teachers have academic freedom to have these conversations. Oh, great. Let's give the teachers a bunch of rope to decide how to teach BLM in schools. We affirm our belief that the integration and addition of ethnic studies into the education of Shoreline School District students can have positive impacts on eliminating opportunity gaps. And then it has some guidelines for teachers while discussing societal issues to avoid any appearance of the imposition imposition of views and opinions on students. Like, go ahead and impose your opinions and views, but we need to make sure that it doesn't come across that way. Acknowledge opposing views, clearly identify a teacher's opinion as just that, and present factual information. While acknowledging an opposing view, if a lesson is on an equity theme, it does not mean that equal time must be given to views in opposition to equity. The contrasting views instead should be used to provide full information for students. Interesting. Okay. I'm trying to make sense of that one. It's basically like, hey, teachers, give your opinion to students, let them know that it's your opinion, and then you don't actually have to oppose or have to put forth the other side of what's wrong with the equity debate, because in their eyes, that's probably like, oh, here's what white supremacists have to say about equity, which I don't want teachers to explain that either, because there are some legitimate, obviously, arguments against equity versus equality. We talk about them on the show all the time, but God forbid that they have that kind of nuanced conversation with their students. So yeah, this isn't setting up Shoreline teachers to turn their kids into activists for BLM and push their personal agenda on kids. Not at all. No surprise, the Olympia School District has issued a proclamation about next week's Black Lives Matter in School Week. It says, be it further resolved that the board calls on all district staff to teach with the resources and engage in professional learning grounded in the 13 guiding principles of Black Lives Matter at school. The board encourages educators, students, families, and staff to incorporate the 13 guiding principles of Black Lives Matter at school into their decisions about race and privilege all year long by teaching Black Lives Matter lessons aligned with Washington State learning standards to realize Olympia School District's student outcome, which states our students will have the skills, knowledge, and courage to identify and confront personal, systemic, and societal bias. Okay, so it says we need to handle next week based on the 13 guiding principles of Black Lives Matter at school. Nicole, you got the 13?
Obviously, it gives an impression that this is all Black Lives Matter related, right?
It sure does. So let's see. Black Lives Matter 13 guiding principles. Let's take a look at what that is. Principle number 1, restorative justice. We intentionally build and nurture a beloved community that is bonded together through a beautiful struggle that is restorative, not depleting. Another principle, diversity, empathy. I like empathy. Empathy's good. Loving engagement, queer affirming. Okay. So now we're venturing into the gender ideology on top of it. We foster a queer affirming network. When we gather, we do so with the intention of freeing ourselves from the tight grip of heteronormative thinking, or rather the belief that all in the world are heterosexual unless she or he disclose otherwise. Transgender affirming is the 6th principle. We are self-reflective and do the work required to dismantle cisgender privilege and uplift Black trans folks, especially Black trans women who continue to be disproportionately impacted by trans antagonistic violence. We make space for transgender brothers and sisters to participate and lead. Got it. Okay, let's see. Another
I would skip down to Black villages. That's a good one.
Black. So it's, well, I'm going to read them all really quick.
Okay.
Unapologetically Black, Black women, Black families, Black villages. We disrupt the Western prescribed nuclear family structure requirement by supporting each other as extended families and villages that collectively care for one another, especially our children, to the degree that mothers, parents, and children are comfortable. Western prescribed nuclear family. So, I mean, isn't that what the quote unquote conspiracy theorists say about schools, is like the goal of all of this is to disrupt the nuclear family? And here we're celebrating Black Lives Matter at School Week next week and saying we need to do this based on the 13 principles. And one of the 13 principles is Black villages, where they say we disrupt the Western prescribed nuclear family structure. Gotcha. And then globalism. I mean, we're going way outside the realm of, hey, let's respect. And for kids, this all boils down to, hey, you need to respect people no matter what their skin color is. Easy. Like, let's make sure kids aren't being little racists. Easy. But no, you're talking about transgenderism, queer affirming, and globalism. We see ourselves as part of the global Black family, and we are aware of the different ways we are impacted or privileged as Black people who exist in different parts of the world. This is also exhausting. Oh, to be a parent in 2024 in Washington State or elsewhere in the country, just wild. Okay, let's see. Also, there was, in the Olympia School District, there was also, we talked about this previously, and I want to say there was maybe a lawsuit about it, when the Olympia School District for elementary school kids started these BIPOC clubs where it gave safe spaces to students of color away from white kids. So basically teaching them to be racist against white kids. Like, you're not safe around your white classmates. The exact opposite of what you are trying to tell us that you want to achieve here. And so in the Olympia School District, it's like they don't learn from any of this stuff.
No,
they don't care. Genuinely do not care. Like, there can be story after story after story about things that are just demonstrably ridiculous, racist, whatever it is. They do not care. Like, they are set on this. And until there's some sort of substantial change on the school board, this is going to continue. So it says there's a BIPOC lunch club for elementary. So, don't eat next to the little white Tommy. You know, he's just a little racist and you're not safe around him. And it actually says, and it acknowledges in here some of the, and what is this from, Nicole? Where'd you pull this from?
This was sent out, Alicia,
yeah.
Alicia sent it to me, but this was sent out to the students. So this is a student-ran lunch. And then the other was given to staff. Yeah,
so one of them is, well, this one, the BIPOC Lunch Club for Elementary. Some of you may remember in February 2023, the media covered OSD clubs, groups for elementary students on the basis of race. And Alicia, this is from Alicia's writing, right? And she points out, like, that's a violation of federal law, state law, and Civil Rights Act. And the district admitted in an internal email that those clubs weren't appropriate. Now they're just doing them again. So now it's like, oh, lunch club. The other one, OSD Educators of Color Network, building a community for educators of color in the Olympia School District. And so it has all these dates where they're going to have meetings for certified staff based on skin color.
That one was sent to Alicia by a staff member who was sent that, as in a teacher of color that was sent that and encouraged to go. Like, that person needs to go, and felt like that was ridiculous and they were singled out because of their color and, was upset about it.
Will a white teacher please sue? Will a white teacher please have the cojones to sue over this stuff? So you have teachers who are getting extra sort of professional development from a public school district because of the pigmentation of their skin. And we're supposed to believe that's in the name of, race and social justice or whatever it is and equality. That's absurd. Will the parent of a white kid please sue? Will you please sue the Olympia school district over these BIPOC lunch clubs? I mean, come on, when is enough enough? When is enough enough? What are we teaching our kids?